So we just took some data, 19.86, 19.77, and 19.93. So find the average and standard deviation of those. So right now I'm just going to find the average, just to give you an idea of how to do the rest of the calculations. 19.93, then divide by 3. So the average comes out to be 19.85 seconds. Now the period then is that divided by 10, so move it over by 1, is 1.985 seconds. So now we have the period for a length of 1.00 meters, 0 meters, okay? Now, so that's our experimental period. Periods. How are you going to find a theoretical? Well, what does it depend on? Remember from the theory section. That was equation number 2. The period is 2 pi times the square root of L over G, right? So all we have to do is plug stuff in. Just make sure everything is in meters. So 1 meter divided by 9.8, right? And you take the square root of that, then multiply it by 2 pi, or however you want to do it on your calculator. So the period I get, theoretically, through the equation, is 2.01 seconds, okay? So there's my theoretical, my calculated value. This is my experimental value that I measured directly, 1.985 versus 2.01. So they're very, 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 very close. You're like a couple hundredths of a second off. So it's quite close. Now what we're going to do is take the data for the other lengths. And do you think the length would have an impact? Well, theoretically it should. Notice how the mass isn't in here. There's no mass of the pendulum. In fact, if I had like a 2-ton pendulum with a certain length, it should have exactly the same period. It doesn't matter if it's 2 tons or 50 grams or 1 gram. You're still going to have the same period because there's no mass in here. But the length plays the biggest role. In fact, the period only seems to be dependent on the length. Now, as in the theory section, I did point out it does depend on the amplitude. This is a nonlinear system. However, as long as we keep it barely moving, then it's really less than 1% error. But if we make it move longer, like the angle is larger, the more the error is in this particular formula.